All right, so Cosmo Comic in the chat suggested Aquaria Towers from Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage. Have we listened to anything from Spyro 2 yet? I think we've listened to stuff from like Spyro 1 and Spyro 3. I can't remember if we've listened to anything from 2. Okay, this is a Spyro song, so I'm gonna guess we're gonna hear some Dorian and Mixolydian stuff, and weird samples and groovy bass lines. That's what I'm gonna predict, all right? So I'm gonna see how right I am. I'm gonna listen once all the way through and then listen back through again for analysis. Let's go. Okay, so we got some like mechanical percussion samples. MIDI guitar samples in weird intervals. Organ. Doing weird, like, dissonant kind of chord stabs. Timpani roll. MIDI electric guitar now. That sounds so much like the garage band, like MIDI guitar. Okay. So it built up to something real big, and now it's back to I think that's where it loops, so it's gotta like start the build over again. Yeah, this whole track is essentially just building layers. Is that organ again? Yeah, so like the drums come in with a full beat and we get some other like... There's not a whole lot of melody happening, it's just sort of groove, right? And yeah, as far as like water level theme goes, this just kind of sounds like a Spyro song. This could be anywhere. It's jamming, you know, like the guitars almost sound fiery, right? Love that little sample. I feel like Metroid Prime Hunters also had a song with that. It's triggering weird nostalgia in my brain. That weird noise blast. Okay, then it fades. All right, so this is a groove, right? There's not a whole lot of melody happening, but there's some funky chord stuff. Let's figure out. That's a very Metroid sound. Oh yeah, totally. Specifically, anybody here had Metroid Prime Hunters for the DS? It was like a DS multiplayer shooter. And I just specifically remember hearing that sound through like the lo-fi DS quality. I played it a little. I played that game a lot when I was like, God, I must have been like 10, 12. Okay, but before we break that down, let me tell you something. I don't have a sponsor for this video. My efforts are funded by generous contributions from viewers like you through Patreon. If you want to see more of this and you want to hear more of my stuff than anybody else can right now, go to case.dog/join or click that link up in the card and become a moonling. That's where you get to hear my unreleased music, get access to a VIP chat in my Discord where I post the evolution of my tracks as I work on them. You can get the master stems to my 100+ songs that I've put out. And there's tiers where you can see your name in a lower third in the video, which you're about to see. Thanks for listening, and yeah, I do have blue hair now. Back to the video. So we got these chopped kind of like mechanical samples. So, okay, we're already in some weird scale, right? So this hits us right away. It does this thing where this is a minor third, this is a major third, and it just sort of... Wow! Thank you, Queen Snarf, for gifting a tier 1 sub to Ren on Air. Welcome. It does like a chromatic walk up there. Weird, like, melodic motion, right? Okay, what does that organ do? Ah, the organ is just doing that. Like those 2 chords from the beginning of that little plucky thing. It's just doing that back and forth for that little section. And then it's like... Is it doing that? Is it doing C and D? That's totally just doing C and D. It's just stabbing a second. That's a very dissonant interval. This track is very, tense. We run down to that G, just slam into it. That guitar power chord. Move up. Then we go from C to D. And I think D is actually what the scale we're in. It just decides to use both the minor and major third in the melody and the melodic elements, which it just sounds so strange. It sounds so like off-putting. Okay, wait, that low voice in that organ is doing something. Ah. Yeah, that's what the organ is doing. So we have a D major, and then this F by playing like an A6, and then like this is technically a D7. I guess it's a D7. This is a tritone, right? You can hear this piano doing stabs on just the 7-1. Sounds like most of the other intervals that it's using are minor, because that's a minor 7. Right? So now we jump to 4 for a B section, right? Where do we go from there? It sounds like we're doing G into F. So 4 into the minor 3. Ah, okay, so we have into F and then up to the 7, which is C. Then down to D. Okay, then. So when we drop down back, this is essentially the loop point, right? And we start doing that. There's a very Spyro flavor to that. And like, I do think it sounds more interesting when it does that with it. There's just, using the minor third and the major third in the same, like right in a row like that in the same scale is just very strange. But it also sounds very Spyro. This is the one with the robot shark? Oh, fuck yeah. Love me some robots and also sharks. Then we get that, like, Metroid noise for the rest of the track, right? So this doesn't move around chords a whole lot. And it is focusing on, like, the grooviness of the chords, right? Rather than the scale, even in the notes that it's choosing. Like with that kind of thing. And there's this little thing in the background in this part where you can hear the MIDI guitar going. Just another, like, kind of Spyro funky kind of. It's very quiet in there. Doing that. And that's really interesting because it's like, it'll like hit the, it'll like slide into the 1 like that, and then slide up to the 7, right? So I think in general, this Spyro music, God, what is the name of the dude? Stuart Copeland likes to use the really funky, like, bluesy kind of intervals, irrespective of, like, if they're major or minor, as long as they just kind of fill out a vibe. This isn't really, like... I think sort of maybe we're in Mixolydian, but just with, like, an extra note, right? So there's just, like, that flavor that is persistent. And all of this is very tense. Everything is serving the tenseness, right? And especially because it rocks between those two a lot, like, through most of the song. There's literally just this organ part that's just... That is a very tense interval. That is not usually... If you're gonna have these intervals in a chord or something, you usually spread them out over an octave, right? So you can, like, you know, do that or something. Or even that. Or like that. Just having them right next to each other usually doesn't fly in music unless you just want to use that as a texture. And the way that it does that, it almost evokes a kind of like tension. And apparently in this level, the water is rising gradually. So that's like the threat, right? And I think that definitely is there's nothing to fear if you have your own robot shark submarine. Yeah, absolutely. You just got to get used to being around robot sharks. You have to live with them. You have to be among them and learn their customs. Very MIDI, very samply, very PS1, very Stuart Copeland, very Spyro. In general, as far as instruments and stuff like that go, this sounds like it is much more trying to evoke the feeling of the challenge of, like, the water rising, rather than trying to evoke the water itself, right? This is a scenario in which water is involved. You're probably not, it's not like a, you know, Water Wonderland theme like the Mario one we just listened to, right? but it's cool. It's neat. It's got some neat stuff it's doing, and it's very, 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 very Spyro. Like, I think if I'm gonna give this a rating, I think that's a 3 out of 5. I would give that a 3. It's all right. It's not bad. It's just it's just very much a Spyro song. I feel like I know what I was wrong about it being like Mixolydian or Dorian, but it didn't even like do enough where it could have been playing those scales, right? Like it was just sort of rocking out, which, you know, fine for Spyro. It's a cool vibe, definitely. But yeah, that's Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, the Aquaria Towers. Thank you, Cosmo Comic, for that suggestion. All right, how do you think I did? If you like the analysis, hit like. If you want to see more stuff like this in the future, hit subscribe and the bell to make sure you see when new videos go up. Let me know what you think. Is there anything you think I missed or glossed over? Let me know in the comments. I would love the feedback. I'll see you next time.